In this video, we're going through a clear breakdown of head and neck embryology, fast, structured, and easy to remember. Mesenchyme in the head and neck is derived from pyraxial mesoderm, lateral plate mesoderm, neural crest cells, and ectodermal placodes. The key feature here is the pharyngeal arches, which appear in weeks 4 to 5 and shape the external appearance. At the same time, pharyngeal pouches form along the pharynx, and together, these structures contribute to both the neck and the face. By week 4, the stomadeum is surrounded by the first pharyngeal arch. By day 42, 5 prominences are present: the right and left mandibular, right and left maxillary, and the frontonasal prominence. Nasal prominences later complete facial development. Each arch contains mesenchyme, covered externally by ectoderm and internally by endoderm. Mesoderm forms the muscles of the face and neck. At week 5, 4 pharyngeal clefts are present, but only the first persists. It forms the external auditory meatus and part of the eardrum, while the others disappear. Branchial fistulas occur when the second arch fails to overgrow the others. Internal fistulas occur when the cervical sinus connects to the pharynx due to membrane rupture. The pharyngeal pouches form important structures. The first pouch forms the middle ear and pharyngotympanic tube. The second forms the palatine tonsils. The third forms the inferior parathyroids and thymus. The fourth forms the superior parathyroids and the ultimobranchial body, which produces calcitonin. Clinically, this can result in ectopic thymic or parathyroid tissue. Each arch contains mesoderm, which forms muscles, and neural crest cells, which form bones, cartilage, and ligaments. Each arch also has its own cranial nerve and artery, and migrating muscles carry their nerve supply. The first arch has maxillary and mandibular processes. It forms the maxilla, mandible, zygomatic and temporal bones, and middle ear bones. Muscles include muscles of mastication, anterior digastric, mylohyoid, tensor tympani, and tensor palatini. Innervation is by the mandibular branch of the trigeminal nerve, with facial sensation via trigeminal branches. The second arch, or Reichert's cartilage, forms the stapes styloid process, stylohyoid ligament, and part of the hyoid. Muscles include stapedius, stylohyoid, posterior digastric, auricular muscles, and muscles of facial expression. All are supplied by the facial nerve. The third arch forms the lower part and greater horn of the hyoid. Its muscle is the stylopharyngeus, supplied by the glossopharyngeal nerve. The fourth and sixth arches form the laryngeal cartilages. Fourth arch muscles are supplied by the superior laryngeal nerve. Sixth arch muscles, the intrinsic laryngeal muscles, are supplied by the recurrent laryngeal nerve. The tongue develops around week 4 from lingual swellings and the tuberculum impar. The anterior to thirds comes from the first arch and is supplied by the trigeminal nerve. The posterior third comes mainly from the third arch and is supplied by the glossopharyngeal nerve. The epiglottis develops from the fourth arch and is supplied by the superior laryngeal nerve. Tongue muscles are supplied by the hypoglossal nerve. The terminal sulcus separates the anterior and posterior parts. Facial development begins in week 4 with maxillary, mandibular, and frontonasal prominences. By week 5, nasal placodes form pits, creating medial and lateral nasal prominences. The upper lip forms from medial nasal and maxillary prominences. The lower lip and jaw come from mandibular prominences. The nose forms from frontal, medial nasal, and lateral nasal prominences. The palate forms the philtrum, incisor region, and primary palate. Facial clefts, including cleft lip and palate, result from failure of palatal shelf fusion. Causes include small shelves, failure to elevate, fusion defects, or obstruction by the tongue due to micrognathia. And that's head and neck embryology, a coordinated process involving multiple embryonic tissues.
If you found this helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.